Sorry, guys. Apologies. Good morning, Ray. Hello, Damien. Good morning, Ken. If you're okay, blink twice. Oh, wow, no audio. No, I left myself muted. I apologize, guys. Not that I have much to say, but come on. Well, what is he saying? I cannot hear. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Thought you were giving us a silent treatment. No. No, not much to say, but at the same time, I guess I should unmute myself. Every time I unplug and replug in the mic, it always goes into mute mode, which makes sense. Anyway, great. All right. So last night had a, let's see, I'll turn my volume down, then it's okay. Nice. Hey, Tony, good morning. How are you? So last night we had our last meeting of the PatCon committee before the show, and during the show, and then afterward, while watching Mike Gundemonium Works, I did a lot of work on the Maquet. I'm struggling a little bit here getting this thing put together, but doing okay. How you feeling, Tony? Feeling all right, brother? Old age creeping on you. Sure feels like it. So the Wildcat may not be ready for PatCon. The paint I order isn't coming until next week. Stupid DHL e-commerce delivery time. Yeah, sorry to hear that, man. If I want the Wildcat in time, I would need to go to a farther local shop to see if they might have color. What paints did you order, Tom, that are hard to find? Hand is kind of hurting today. I overused it yesterday. Ooh. Tony, did the doctors say how long before you're able to kind of get back to normal, whatever normal might be? Come on. I know I cut this fucker off, but still, it shouldn't be this hard. All right, I'll show you guys what we got going on here. So I did quite a bit of work last night on this thing. Let's do it this way. Do it the two-handed approach. Yeah. Hey, Dwayne, good morning. Close local shop, don't carry it. Mr. Collar. Yeah, it's one of the things that sucks about paint, I guess. I'm going to do a little bit of that. Okay. Rubber hose with a nasty mold line running through it. New metal hose. Hey, Nick. Hey, Joe. Good morning, guys. What's going on? What is he working on now? I'm working on adding little bits. I also found that the model, okay, when building that, whatever that thing on the shoulder is, the bits. How you doing, Tony? Everybody's saying hi. When building that shoulder piece, just want to see where it's actually built. All you're doing is basically putting it on top of the model, just putting it on. There's nothing else there. However, if you take a look at the drawing, there's something coming off of that bit, and you can see it right there. So there's something going on there, and then you can't see it on the box art, but we'll get to the box art in a second. This baby thinking it's time to party at 5 a.m. has got to stop. Yeah. Those are not fun times. So I also then worked on creating the coupler there. Is it larger than what's supposed to be there? Maybe. But I got a coupler, bored out a hole, even put in a piece of styrene, which, and I'll show you this whole part, and as I'm going to take it apart in just a second. This new tool that I just got earlier this week came in remarkably handy. Just jumping in his crib, laughing like crazy. Oh, yeah. It's wakey time. Like, what does that look like? AO Space Marine. Very similar. It's a Machine and Krieger. So it's got kind of that. There's that sort of what if World War II took a space approach look to it. Yeah, this is all up to interpretation. How does it feel? This is all up to interpretation. Sorry, Dwayne. What's that? Looks like it fits perfectly size-wise anyways. Oh, I'm very happy with the way it came out. Tell me it looks like a Space Marine. It does have a bit of a Space Marine look to it. Well, that tool is just expanded version of the D-Spay one. Yeah, but this tool, this is great. So you can put, up, what is it, like from a 1 to a 4 millimeter tube, cut a hole in the top of it if you need to, just center it. But what's really cool is if you wanted to bore out a piece of plastic, then this piece here allows you to choose the size that you want for your inner diameter. And it worked out fabulously. Very money, considering I just bought it, it's like immediately money well spent. So, very quickly, I mean, I can show you what I'm doing because I'm going to need to do this again. So, loosen this up, pop it into the right hole. This is actually, do I need this one? Ooh, let me verify. I might not need this one. I may need to go to the next size up. Give me 1 second here, guys. I did a lot of work last night. There's a lot of shit everywhere. Yeah, this is the 2.4. Yep, that's right. This is the right size. So the spring that I used was 2 millimeter, 2.0. And that's a 2.4 tube, which means you got to hollow out those walls pretty significantly, right? So increase that inner diameter significantly. So just got up. I'm just saying your references are each a little different. So does the agreeable feel appropriate and in scale? I'd like to think so. I think the hosing certainly does. I'm trying to get the shape of it to kind of match up the one that's over here, but I kind of like the way it looks. I think it'll be fine. As regarding this one here, 100%. I think it's fine. The only thing I want to do is it's got a nasty little bend where it's coming out. I just need to, I'm going to probably end up breaking the piece that's in there or cutting it back, and it'll be fine. But the other thing I found that this model didn't include is all of these wires that are coming between the upper and lower arm. upper and lower arm. Nothing's there. And then the last thing, and I can't remember where I saw this now. Yeah, there it is. There's also supposed to be wiring coming from the back of the foot, the heel, up into the unit itself. So I will be adding those as well. So they included these stub outs, and it's supposed to plug into this cutout right over here. There's nothing there, but I will be adding that in. Something, I guess. What happened? What happened, Damien? Gonna be a long day today. I have the nail appointment 11 a.m. and then I have to be at the vet. Oh no! Oh, I'm really sorry to hear that. How old is your dog? Are you building parts for the kit? Am I building parts for the kit? Am I adding stuff? Yeah, all this metal hosing and this additional hose here. This is a replacement, and that's an add. All that stuff is going in. Be right back. Sounds good. Oh, no. Jesus, Tony. So sorry about your dog. Yeah. He's 18-year-old, so it is time. I'm very sorry to hear that, Tony. In my school, in the auditorium. Oh, look at that. He's in his auditorium, and he's communicating with us. Damien, you rebel, you. You see the inauguration of the Mexican president? Really interesting. I did not, Joe. I can, and thanks. Yeah, at 18, he's had a good life. Still hard. Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter how old he is, or how good of a life it's been. It's hard. 18 years is a long time for a husky to live. Wow. That's what we did to Tony. Thanks, Tom. I did not see that, Joe. Gonna have to look that up. Yeah, check that out later. Oh, I'm sure it was rather entertaining given our political climate. I just found solder in my beard. Well, at least you know where it is now. All right. Before I do forget, there will be no live stream tonight at 7 because I've got an IPMS meeting, Region 1 meeting, and yeah. So no Unleash thing tonight. So we're going to model train with the motor. Forgotten to turn off the motor from my train, and I burnt my. Oh, ouch! Are you okay? President of Mexico. Yes, she is. But is she getting sworn in again? Because she's been the president for a while now, if I'm correct. A burst pipe in the basement, had to sweat copper above my head. Oh, that'll do it. That's good, George. Thanks for letting us know. Yeah, it's just a lot going on right now. And unfortunately, as the, as saying goes, something's got to give. All right, I'm going to pull this thing out real quickly. And I am going to, it's going to get a little tight. You can actually see the peg. They actually put a peg in there for you to mount something to it. And this thing fits perfectly around it. By the way, there is a wire inside here, which is why I'm able to maintain any kind of bend. I would think that might have been obvious, but for those who may not be familiar with it, yeah, there is something there. Was that what it was? I was wondering as it was a weird dance party or something. So if you lost Tony. Thanks, Dwayne. And by the way, Dwayne, thank you for the update. I'm glad that everything is confirmed between the three of you. Well, you guys are all coming from different areas. It's kind of wild. Okay. All I did was take off about, I don't know, half a mil. Hopefully I didn't F this up. Been known to do things like that. It's okay. It's just plastic and metal. Everything is fixable. Everything is fixable. Give me a second, guys. That's a bit better. Oh, yeah, that's better. There. That bend back there is a lot smoother now. So I'll be watching last week's episode then. It's an excuse to get at the bench. Watch Mike's episode. What episode are you talking about, Nick? No, I'm not okay. Oh, Dwayne. I mean, Damien. Maybe this would be a good time to go seek some professional help. Yeah, get that looked at. Yeah, agreed. If it's a burn, yay. I mean, I'm not armchair doctoring here, but you may want to go see somebody about that. Oh yeah, that's so much better. In fact, let's CA it in place. Last Thursday's episode. Oh, last Thursday's was good. You know, what's interesting is, and I'm not going to take it back. At the moment, I'm not going to continue to have political conversations in the morning, but, you know, given what happened last week, you know, Mike and I have been, Mike sent me some stuff, and he and I have had some interesting conversations. And as everybody knows, Mike and I are on politically different, you know, political ends of the political spectrum. But what's always good with Mike, and we had an interesting conversation. I'm not going to go into it because it was a personal conversation, but just the nut of it is that no matter what side of the political fence you're on, look, we're all people. Bronx. Damien, are you in the Bronx? Don't be me. It's your hand, and those are important. You know, listen to the wisdom of Tony. I was in the beginning. I missed it. Which Mike? Gundamonium works. Michael Wine. You know, I don't care what side of the political spectrum you are. I will just say there's no room for cancel culture. You don't like an idea, fine. Unless it's an absolutely pure and evil idea, you know, which I think needs to be challenged. It's fine. But in this country, you're free to say what you want to say. At the same time, you're free to get razzed for it, but hopefully not assassinated for it. Let's see. Yeah, you are fishing. Yeah, likely excuse. It's great about politics. No matter what side you support, we're all screwed. Well, that's one way of looking at things, George. Everyone on my trip is on the way trajectory. Yeah. I love that you use that term. That's the second time you use that for this specific thing. We're on the trajectory. I'm like, what are you guys, missiles? That according to Romboni, his side. I understand what his side is, but and I'm not. You can't talk. Okay, you're not going to have a conversation with him and his ilk immediately around him to figure this out. Okay, you're never gonna be able to, you know, to talk to an extremist on either side and be able to figure it out. But the good thing is, 90% of us, you know. Anyway, Mike sent me something that I thought was very poignant. And though I think it did have a little bit of a bias to it, I think it was actually extremely well done and well said. And I will leave it to Mike to post it if he wants. I'm not going to be the one to do that. Take a number 3. Yeah. I'll be right back. Yeah, that's fine. Let's avoid the conversation. Yes. The worst is extremists is in power, and I don't even know why. You don't know why extremism is in power? Really? Wow. And that's why he's in power. Wow. That's funny as hell. All right, let's get this thing seated just a little more tightly. Just a wee bit. Now we're just going to just drop in some CA in here. Okay. I'll go a little bit wild here. I'm going to go all around. All right. All right. This one I'm going to glue in place. The other hoses I cannot. Okay, let's get that hair off of there. I'm sorry, guys. Give me a second here. Okay. Do-do-do. All right. So, all set. I'm going to work on the other side if that way people can see what the hell it was that I did. This actually wasn't. The funny part about this was, and it really didn't take much effort. You know, I'm going to reposition this hose after we're all done. I'm likely going to have to do hand painting on it. Let's take the leg off. Let's take the hose out this way. Oh, come on. Really? There it goes. All right. So what I did was bored out some plastic and buried the spring inside. There is, I'm not sure if anybody can see it, there is a wire inside there. Coffee poured finally. Nice. The material is the metal hose. Will it rust? I don't think so. It should be a stainless steel spring. I used a bunch of these. I've got a bunch of these Wave with one high Q. Very different springs. I have a larger selection of Waves, so I use the Wave on this one on the leg hoses. I use the 2mm. On the one for whatever that thing on the shoulders was, I use the 1.5mm. Oh no, I forgot the class. Ooh, Damien, get rolling. Class is important. Fell asleep earlier than intended last night. Oof. How you like the Wave springs? I think they're great. The Wave and the high Q have very different feels to them. The Wave springs are a larger coil, and are much more rigid. The high Q ones are a finer coil and much more flexible. I like them both. I prefer generally the high Q ones because they are a tighter spring. But in this application, this looks great. So no complaint at all. Yeah, these are, in my opinion, if you're doing anything with like a hose like this, and I'll show you real quickly, or you know, the Bandai stuff. I gotta tell you, the Gundam pipes that come around, and then you get like in master grade, you get like the plastic piece with the clamp. It looks shitty. This to me looks much better. I have the high Q ones. Yeah, I think they're both. If you're doing this kind of work, they're both essential. And in fact, I've got a bunch of these in a cart, my overseas cart, but until things get straightened out, I ain't buying. All right, so let's see. I'm sorry, I missed a bunch of stuff here, guys. I apologize. Doing detail hand painting as too lazy to mask. I hear that. 2 more days vacation from UPS. Anyways, nice, Mike. Good morning. Hope you're doing well. Right there with you, Dwayne. I fell asleep earlier than I intended last night. Oh no. Sorry, guys. Couch got me. But I spent 20 minutes finding my glass this morning. Yeah, maybe leave it unpainted. It wasn't stainless. You could have made it rust. I think what I want to do actually is I want to give it a dark rubbery look. So that's likely in a matte look. The only thing I hate about the Miyazaku 2 is the power pipes. Yeah. Doesn't matter. I was still watching you. That's funny. Yeah. So the thing with these things, and it's funny, I was just reading an article from I had an interesting conversation earlier this week, and I went back and read an article on the 2023 IPMS Nationals. And the controversy on the space and sci-fi, specifically the Mach K category, and how somebody went from 4th place in judging and ended up winning the category. Fascinating read. And in that article, they were actually talking about, what the judges were looking for, which I do the same thing. I'm not sure if it's going to be seen. It may not. But in there, like if I'm looking at it, even like from here, it's fine, but there is a mold line. Yeah, right there. There's a mold line. And you can't eliminate it. Remember, I was working on the leg stuff. You can't eliminate those mold lines. So it's easier just to do a metal piece. Have you used liquid electrical tape? Could make it rubber coated. That's a possibility. I've never even heard of liquid electrical tape. How viscous is it? If it's too thick, then I don't want it to eliminate the ribbing that a coil has. But that sounds kind of interesting. I might have to look into that, Nick. All right. So I bored out a piece of plastic, ran a wire through the spring, cut it to length. And on this side, let's see if I can take this thing apart. I may end up gluing in this side. And this may actually be really gotten in there tight. I did the same thing on the other side in terms of creating the parts that are needed to get this thing to sit. Careful. This is not plastic. Wow. That is tight. Jesus Christ. Let go. fucking launch this thing. All right. Wow. Crushed it. Yeah. So this is what I did. So inside there are two pieces, and I did the same thing on this side. Buried the spring inside of a piece of bored out plastic, but I also put another piece of plastic inside to make sure that this part doesn't pull out. So this gives it a nice tight look, which I really liked. In fact, like I said, I'm going to probably just glue this piece in place just like this and leave it be, because that fits in there. Once it's all in there and crushed and everything like that, I mean, that thing looks like, if you look at it right from there, it looks perfectly acceptable. So I don't think I would leave the ribbing, especially if brushed on. I think the brush would be trash after. Yeah. I've used it on plastic, but definitely test first. Yeah. So I mean, not likely do that, but I appreciate that, because that is something I'd love to find a way of kind of filling in some of the coil gapping. But because there's a piece of I mean, if we think about what these things will do, right? These hoses, I don't know. They're providing power, I'm assuming, down to a leg or something else. I would assume that it's more of the outer layer is more of a protection, and what's inside is what matters. And what's inside here is a piece of wire providing power, whether that's some kind of fuel or electrical, don't know. But I assume it's electrical, and therefore this is perfectly acceptable for what I'm looking to do. Why not use CA? Could use CA. In fact, once I tried priming these things, I think what we're going to find is, because I use CA on the ends to glue the plastic to the metal, and also to glue the wire inside so it doesn't move too much on the ends. I think what you're going to find is, yeah, it might actually fill in some of those gaps quite nicely. The only thing with using CA across the whole thing is you have to make sure that that thing is now locked in place. You've made your statue, because once you start messing around with it and repositioning it, all of that CA will start to crack. Now, granted, this stuff here, theoretically, has a little bit of a rubbery content to it, so it could be a better solution. Maybe I'll have to test it, but yeah. Okay, so what we're going to do is prep. I'll show you. So we're going to prep this tube here. It's a 2.5 millimeter tube. So I'm just going to open this up and slide it into the, even though this is 2.4, it's going into the 2.5 tube. Okay, cinch it down. Okay. Oops. That's what I don't want to do. So right now I've got too much of a gap there. I want to open this up again. Push this thing flush for a second. There. And now lock it down. So now this tube is kind of in there good. You still need to hold on to it, because I have had a situation with my bit was actually causing the plastic to spin. Then on this side, you look to see, okay, so what diameter, inner diameter hole do I want to make? So now I'm going to make, and it's actually aligned perfectly. I want to make, a 2.0 hole. That is the size of this spring. So very quickly, if you can actually see the diameter, I'm not sure if you can, the inner diameter. I mean, that wall is pretty thick, right? Get the 2 millimeter bit out. Push this thing right up. And again, because I want to be careful not to damage because we're now, I'm screwing into plastic, but right around it is metal, and I don't want to destroy these bits, just very carefully hold down the plastic and start boring in. Yeah, I'm already starting to see, you can see a lot of plastic is already starting to come out. Okay. There we go. And there we go. Now, if we take a look at that end, it is significantly, and again, it's centered. It's perfectly centered. The walls have been thinned out significantly to the point where this should drop in. And if it doesn't, that's okay, because then I can just take a 2.1. Yeah, it's a little tight. Tolerances are a little tight. I can take the 2.1 bit. We're getting that tool. That's a bit much for just one function. Depends on if you need it. I've already used it a bunch of times just on this one model. And given that I'm a big fan of using, parts within parts, when I did the freebie Gundam, if I actually had this tool, I would not have used brass. I would have used plastic instead, because I can get these things thinned down significantly. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to break out the 2.1. I'm not going to use the tool at this point and just do a little bit of clean out here. There we go. Grab that spring, wherever I just put the spring, hit here. And now it just drops in perfectly. So, yes. Do I recommend this tool? Yes. If you're doing this kind of work on some level of, where you need to bore into something, around something, and center it either on the top or through the front, yeah, it's recommended. All right, so now the next thing to do is to measure this out. And I'm not being articulate on this. I'm just being kind of rough on this. It doesn't have to be 100% accurate. As long as the two sides match, that's all that matters. There we go. It didn't make the spring sound. I mean, by the display one, since it has the hole boring and other stuff, not going to be doing that much. Yeah. Yep. Depends on what you need. All right. Set of guitar nippers. And I am not going to waste even this little guy, because you never know. You might need something that small at some point. I'm going to put that in the 2mm packet. All right. Then, I don't know where even I got this wire. This might be just some kind of, I think if I look at this right, I think this wire came from like some kind of picture hanging thing. Came with like some picture hanging hardware. Oh, first things first. get rid of the burr, deburr this thing a little bit. Okay. Got a few different ones in my alley cart. I've been way on a need for it to buy one. Yeah. How much was the tool? Yeah, let me find out. It literally just came this week. It came with the BT42. Let me do my coin collections. Yeah, history. Let's see. Is it there? No. Here we go. Holy crap. No. No. All right. So I will tell you right now. I don't. Holy shit. No, it's got to be something going on here. Okay, there we go. There's two versions of the tool. And in fact, there's an additional part to it, which I myself may end up picking up. But right now, that tool is about 22 bucks, which is relatively short money for what this thing does. Now, again, do you need it? Depends on what you're doing. Don't look at the drill barrels in my Batwing. It's all insane. Okay. I don't think I'm going to be judging that category, but if I am, I will certainly look at it. So using 240 grit sandpaper. Normally I don't go below 400, but I had something stubborn. 240 is my new. Oh yeah, Nick. Yeah, this is kind of, and this is kind of what I like. All of them, like 240 and 400, like 800 and 600 are useless now. It's like I rarely have those. Rarely use them. How much time we got? A few more minutes here. All right. Let's get the spring. Oops. Put away the tools. I will obviously be pulling these things out again, but for the moment, let's just put the tools away. Trying to get into better habits. You don't polish anything. You're ready to really get in there. I usually no, maybe a little bit with 400, but no. I don't do a lot of gloss surfaces. That's part of it. You know, if I need gloss surfaces, that's fine. Anyway, so okay, so I just basically threaded this through, just got a little bit coming through. So I picked these things up years ago. These are guitar string cutters. I picked these up when I picked up a couple bass strings just to use for pipes. I may actually pick up other guitar strings to try out too, because that's something where you can possibly get the same shape, but you literally physically bend it in one piece and then you're done. A little bit of give and take, but not a lot. Now we got that, and again, pretty straightforward. You know, you can bend it into the shape you need. So I'm going to stop here for the moment, with the one exception. Cut this off. There we go. And just feed this one end in. There we go. So now I've got something a little bit easier, firmer, and something that has a nicer look coming out. So when you CA this piece, so as an example on this side, that's just basically just coming out of that bulky bit. But on this side, what I'm going to do is have it actually have that white piece of plastic just stick out just a little bit to give it a like another kind of like grommeted protection kind of look. Great for modeling. Yeah, I've got to try more of them. I've got a thicker bass string, which I haven't really needed, but I think some of the other guitar strings I might try out. I was at Music Center, I don't know, 5-6 years ago, and I picked one up. That surface can be a polished surface. Sure, I don't care. It's paint. That's going to get weathered. It's 1000, but I use 1000, but it's so there are not imperfections and still matte coat. Yeah. What do show me? Yeah. Yeah. Guitar strings. I remember seeing those things used a long while back, and somebody mentioned it. I can't remember who it was now. All right. So with that, I am done. We're going to continue with this tomorrow. All right, my friends. So, okay. Stay safe and stay sane. Just a reminder that tonight there will not be a live stream as I've got something else I have to do, but I will be back on tomorrow. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. All right, guys, go out there, do good, brighten the world as much as you possibly can. Crazy, dangerous world. It's up to us to make it better. Enjoy the day, guys. Do righteousness by other people. Do something good. Okay? Don't treat people like shit. Anyway, I'll be back on tomorrow. Enjoy the day, guys. Love you all. Peace.